Hello, this is my presentation of post-traumatic stress disorder. The etiology of PTSD follows a traumatic stressor which causes intense fear and/or helplessness. The symptoms usually appear shortly after the event but may take years. There is a direct traumatic exposure, which means that the child has experienced the trauma firsthand. Some examples are being in an automobile accident, being diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, a sexually traumatic event, a natural disaster, neglect, physical abuse, or mental abuse. In an indirect traumatic exposure means that a child did not experience the trauma firsthand, but heard about it. An example would be a violent personal assault on a loved one, a serious accident, or an unexpected death of a family member or friend. Here you see some symptoms that are general and also some symptoms that are in the classroom. In the classroom, there is a lack of posture, fidgeting, compulsive talking. It could appear as symptoms of autism, ADHD, OCD, restless leg, out of the seat behavior, looking for a fight, failure to complete work, lack of motivation, depression, difficulty transitioning to new tasks, flat affect, sense of lifelessness, stomach aches, headaches, and having problems concentrating. These are just a few of the symptoms. Here you see in the classroom there are students' responses and teacher responses. The first is to create a safe classroom. Students' response normally with anxiety which fuels defense. This can look as acts of defiance against the teacher. The student also has a lower threshold for stress. The teachers can go ahead and help students resolve internal conflicts with peers. They could also not react with punishment, threats, humiliation, or gestures of intimidation. With a sense of belonging, the students normally show a high risk of gang activity, and they also lack control, which means an increased behavioral difficulties, which then in turn, teachers normally take students out of group activities. What we can do is to include guided practice activities by using aides, school counselors, etc. to complete the activity and give the students time to complete the task. With competence, students normally have academic challenges and they also have feelings of not being good at anything. What the teachers can do is to tailor academic activities to the window of tolerance to the child and to increase sensory experiences such as art, music, movement, or interactive play, etc. Some interesting facts are that PTSD is part of the anxiety disorders and also associated with increased rates of these specific disorders listed here. The treatments are the trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral intervention for trauma in schools, and sometimes anti-anxiety medications are prescribed. A statistic is that studies show that about 15 to 43% of girls and 14 to 43% of boys go through at least one trauma. Of those children and teens who have had a trauma, 3 to 15% of girls and 1 to 6% of boys develop PTSD. Here are some resources. You will see a book resource for school staff, helpful school toolkits for teachers, and websites to understand therapy modalities. And here are the references, and thank you for listening to my presentation of PTSD.